Trump keeps unleashing rants that clearly prove he is just as insane as his critics claim he is. The latest Trump meltdown was sparked by former Democratic Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. On CNN, she lashed out at Trump's mental imbalance.
There are healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his his thoughts do not go together. Not only that he just lies, he doesn't even know the truth. So if we're just talking about mental acuity, let's be fair about it.
Just a few hours later, Pelosi went on MSNBC, targeted Trump's mental health again, and blasted Trump for lying repeatedly at the debate.
Because it was a constant manifesto again of lies. As you may recall, I tore up his speech at the State of the Union because it was a total manifesto of lies, and that's what we saw the other night, which must be rejected, as well as his candidacy. Of course, one that stood out was about January 6th. This man would not send the National Guard. The Republicans know that because some of them were in there when we were asking for it, begging for it, to the Secretary of the Army, the Secretary of Defense, and the president, of course, is the ultimate commander-in-chief, and he would not send it. So for him to go on TV and lie about that, the instigator of an insurrection against the Congress of the United States, against the Constitution of the United States, against the Capitol of the United States, and just pass it off.
Trump couldn't pass off or ignore Pelosi's criticism of him. And on True Social, Trump threw a fit and sounded like a lunatic. Quote, crazy Nancy Pelosi, who the other day was exposed by her daughter, a filmmaker, as being responsible for the lack of security on January 6th, is, in my opinion, more cognitively impaired than crooked Joe Biden. I just watched her do an interview and she was way off. Additionally, she is suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS, and her case is terminal. She is a sick puppy and always has been. In other words, on two different interviews, Nancy Pelosi came out swinging and Trump exploded. Is this the sort of person we want to be leader of the free world again? He lost the 2020 election, lied about it, then attempted a coup, and now he's trying to blame Nancy Pelosi for the mob of Trump supporters who were hunting her down at the Capitol. It is sheer lunacy. And that was Nancy Pelosi's point.
Let's go back to January 6th, because this is one of the charges against the president. The president goes on TV and says, I planned my own assassination. No, I didn't. He did. They're going to hang the vice president of the United States, and they're going to put a bullet in my F-word head. And he will not send the National Guard. People were injured, over 100 law enforcement people were injured. Some people died because of him. And people died again because of his delay and denial about COVID. This is a totally irresponsible person.
This is a totally irresponsible person, said Pelosi. Well, it does appear that what Donald Trump said and did on the debate stage reminded a lot of Americans about the Trump presidency. As a result, in the past few days, Democratic candidates at every level say they have seen a tsunami of donations flowing in. Also, and this has been largely ignored by the mainstream media focus on Biden, polling shows that Donald Trump's negatives since the debate have climbed even higher than Trump's previous negatives. Voters may be concerned about President Biden's age and stamina, but voters are also increasingly concerned about Donald Trump's instability, Trump's constant lying, and Trump's apparent dementia. In this instance, all it took was Nancy Pelosi mentioning that word, dementia, and Trump erupted with a lunatic rant, proving Nancy Pelosi was spot on.
It's about actual stupidity. Masses of people unwilling or unable to recognize the difference between democracy and dictatorship.
It is one of the latest ads from the anti-Trump Lincoln Project.
Politicians and pundits drunk on confirmation bias and spewing lies in the name of principles they no longer hold. Cultists, useful idiots, ignorance, mindlessness, actual stupidity.
And in a recent campaign rally, Trump played right into it.
They want electric planes. What happens if the sun isn't shining while you're up in the air? Well, sir, I told you there'd be problems, sir.
It's here, and it's taking over. Take a last stand with humanity this November and save the future from AS before it's too late.
Now, late at night, early in the morning, and throughout the day, Donald Trump is erupting. Crooked Joe Biden is the worst president in the history of the United States by far. Crooked Joe choked like a dog. Joe is a cognitive mess. All of these unfair charges represent the worst level of election interference ever seen in our country's long and storied history.
Healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his his thoughts do not go together. Not only that he just lies, he doesn't even know the truth.
Crazy Nancy Pelosi, who the other day was exposed by her daughter, a filmmaker, as being responsible for the lack of security on January 6th, is, in my opinion, more cognitively impaired than crooked Joe Biden. I just watched her do an interview, and she was way off. The outbursts from Trump keep coming, and they seem to be getting more unhinged. When Trump didn't see an immediate boost in his poll numbers after the debate, Donald Trump exploded and insisted his debate performance was the greatest in debate history. When Liz Cheney criticized Trump, Trump posted a message saying she is guilty of treason and must be sent to a military tribunal on live television. Trump also posted a message using the QAnon slogan, "Where we go one, we go all." When Steve Bannon reported to federal prison, Trump said he stands with the convicted felon and blamed Justice Juan Merchan for sentencing Bannon. But in fact, it was a Trump-appointed judge, not Merchan, who sentenced Bannon to prison. The lunatic Trump rants, Trump's instability, and the Trump threats to democracy go to the heart of another Lincoln Project ad. And this is an ad aimed at Republican voters. Watch.
Millions of Republicans, more all the time, are feeling the pressure to vote for the party, to toe the line, to pull the lever the way you always did before. Maybe the way your parents did too. It used to make sense. It used to be easy, because it used to be the party that said character mattered. The party that was for the family. The party that believed in the vision of the founders. The party of law and order. The party of rugged individualism. The party that would never vote for a criminal. But with or without the verdict, we all knew that's exactly what Donald Trump is. A criminal. When did conservative values become about one man? When did faith go from looking upward to looking the other way? Donald Trump doesn't represent the party of Lincoln. He's not the inheritor of Reagan's legacy. Donald Trump is a virus that has torn our party to shreds. It's time to save the Republican Party by voting against it.
That is powerful. And by the way, because of copyright issues, we had to remove the music from that ad. So for the full effect, check out the ad on the Lincoln Project YouTube page. There is another ad the Lincoln Project recently published that we also want to show you. And by all accounts in Trump world, these ads do get under Donald Trump's skin, whether he lashes out at them or not. This next ad is titled, "What Will You Tell Your Kids?" The spot focuses on Donald Trump's grossest behavior and targets suburban women voters. Watch.
What will you tell your kids? That you voted for a felon and a criminal, supported a man found guilty by a citizen jury, went into the voting booth happy to pull the lever for the only former president in history to bear the mark of criminal shame. Will you tell them that breaking the law is how they should live their lives? That lying to their families about porn stars and hush money is how they should behave? Do you want your son to treat women like a man who was found to have committed sexual assault? Do you want your daughter to be a victim of a man like him?
You going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you go? And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the...
Will you tell them that he was honest, that he was a good man,
Very fine people on both sides.
that he treated people the way you've taught them?
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Will you tell them you're proud of his cruelty, happy with the ugly insults,
I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
the attacks on women, and the endless lies, that the chaos, death, and danger he brought was worth it? We know it's hard to walk away and put country over party, but your kids are watching. You're not just voting for your future, you're voting for theirs.
Another strong ad. And speaking of the future, the stakes keep getting bigger. Here's the headline from Ross Story. Screaming the quiet part, Trump advisors say he's ready to embrace king-like powers. Quote, Presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump, who has pledged to be a dictator on day one if elected to another 4 years in the White House, is reportedly preparing to exploit the U.S. Supreme Court ruling Monday that current and former presidents are entitled to sweeping immunity from criminal prosecution. Among the steps, Trump, who celebrated the ruling, intends to take swiftly upon assuming office following a possible November victory, according to Axios, are setting up vast camps to deport millions of people, moving to fire potentially tens of thousands of civil servants and replace them with pre-vetted loyalists, and centralizing power over the Justice Department, which the former president has repeatedly threatened to wield against his political opponents. In other words, on top of whatever disgusting lies and gross individual behavior Trump engages in, he intends to try and become a king and turn this nation into a fiefdom of servitude to him. However, Donald Trump cannot resist delivering unhinged and crazy meltdowns at people and groups who call him out. And there does seem to be a chance that Trump's own extreme lunatic behavior will turn off enough voters to keep Trump from seizing power. That's the wish, at least, for Democrats, anti-Trump Republicans, and groups like the Lincoln Project. And they are now putting Trump on full blast, dropping hundreds of millions of dollars of attack ads against him, and hoping that Donald Trump keeps exploding. By the way, one of the founders of the MAGA group Moms for Liberty recently exploded at a group of Hawaiian drag queens.
I spent $3,000 to stay here. I'm not having my child see a man pretending to be a woman. This is completely offensive to me.
I'm sorry. Then you should leave.
No, because I paid $3,000 to be here. I'd like to talk to the manager.
He's right there.
In Hawaii, the Karen who wants to talk to a hotel manager about some drag queens is named Beth Bourne. She's a founder of the California chapter of the conservative Moms for Liberty, and Bourne is an employee of the University of California, Davis.
Okay, why do you think it's okay to pretend that you're a woman?
We were invited.
You were invited here? Who invited you here?
The manager.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from BC2, who wrote, "The only freedom they cherish is the freedom to hate." Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump going berserk as the attacks against him multiply. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.
Unhinged, right? That's that white Anglo-Saxon Protestant communication amongst each other. This is the way in which they battle back and forth at the highest, if you will, level. And then the circumvent, well, really not circumvent, I'm using the wrong word, sorry. The interpretation of the communication is utilized by some source, which I know the source, but, you know, it is what it is, to deliver to you. But they can spew any kind of words they want to. We, on the other hand, in the black community or black media, when we do it, it's an issue and it's a problem. Just us talking alone is a problem. Me understanding that, I grew up under all that shit, being raised by white folks. I used to hear that type of communication every day. Your intellectual tongue jargon, you know, battling back and forth with your wit, cunning wit, if you will, is a source of pride. Are you outthinking the person? And this is how they roll. And they get no punishment for it. They literally could say, what I mean by this is being unhinged with a tirade, saying anything and doing anything you want goes without discipline. If you do it, it's a problem. If they do it, oh man, it's just like, that's their everyday communication at the highest level of intellectual thinking. They do that shit every day, all day. That's how they live their life. You think rappers got beef? Rappers don't have shit against these motherfuckers. and they come from historical perspectives. A lot of them do, but with somebody like Trump who don't read and don't understand theory, or he doesn't even care about it, he'll say anything to get his point across. The dogging of each other, that gets me. So you know, just don't, you know, when you do see me, my little bummy, junky, stupid looking fucking ass walking around these streets, just realize I'm perplexed. I'm not just anywhere, I'm somewhere living on this earth challenged by society's ways. It's not just me for you to look at and say, I want to destroy him. I want him obsolete. I want him canceled. I don't like him. Or you might like me, you might want to come near me, you might want to hear me, you might want to help me, or what. Listen, man, I'm one of those alley cats. Yo, I'm out here. I mean, it's just like I see it all just like you do. I see it all just like you do. Go on any platform and go and listen to any type of category and get into that cesspool and go up and down the rabbits, or right and left the rabbit holes, and the curtain pulled up and the veil raised up. At some point you start to realize you just speaking to hear yourself speak over shit that everybody else is saying. What are we doing? What are we doing with communication? Nothing. Traveling down roads that we chasing each other's tail. We all know where this leads to. All it is history repeating itself with younger people. Older people dying off, younger people coming in, but what stays the same is the fucking machine. It stays the same. The pyramid stays the same towards self-actualization. It stays the same. Nothing changes. You can add, you can make, you can write, you can delegate, you can get in. It all of it is the same. Hello, you see me? Hello, what's the big deal? My paranoia matches the reality of it all. What do you do with it? Nothing. Nothing. My balls, you want to smell my sweetness, you want to build what? There's nothing to be had with this bullshit. All of us just need to go ahead and realize that there will be a conclusion, and we have to go from there. But this jousting back and forth, this arguments back and forth, or rather these arguments back and forth, it's all about who can withstand the battle, who's standing up at the end of the day. It's vicious. It's going to get dirty. That's why I say, where the fuck are they going? That shit don't make no sense right there. Okay, well, they're doing what they're doing, I guess. That's really bizarre. That's why I say, does Biden have the stamina to withstand this tail end of what's going on within the race? Because a lot of people Man, they would never let a black man get this fucking far if he was this, if he was this broken. I have no idea what the fuck they doing. That shit look crazy as hell right here. Oh, they must be taking some shit they think is trash or stealing. Salute, what's up, what's up? I'm just communicating, I'm just fucking around with this world on social media, bro. Eric, I'm just fucking around with it because it's here to be fucked with. Nobody should take this shit serious. I mean, absolutely not. It's just a playground. I mean, seriously, it is. It's like a big ass Inquirer. They used to have a magazine called Inquirer. I don't know if it's still out. It's like news that's lies and truths that's lies and half-truths, lies, mixed up, right and wrong, no real true references, footnotes, all, it's like writing a book that has no kind. It's all lies, man. It's fucking retarded shit. I feel, yeah, we gotta get with it, though. That's how you can get, if just so happens you go viral. That's why I throw up anything. It's like a stage. You throw up anything. The human, just like a stage. You just throw anything up there or painting a canvas and see what lands. Nobody buys magazines anymore, but they still sell them. Yeah, I mean, maybe the old folk, do they still use pages and cell phones? Not pages and pay phones anymore? You know what I mean? It's still out here somewhere. Can you go to the airport and use a payphone? Can you use a CB radio, a beeper? Can you use a beeper, a fax machine? I mean, oh shit. We lived to see that shit like it was in demand and now it's gone. I'm only good as my last one. Let me do that. Let me give y'all some love for the mic. Cause I ain't no good for nothing else. We got a storm coming here, so the power might go out. Our society has changed something. Oh yeah, we seeing people. This might be right here, a stalker of mine parked right next to me and tracked me down. Right next to me. You never know, dog. I mean, and they gone. But let me give y'all some music. Damn, I keep on pissing. I guess if you keep drinking water and shit and stuff, you're gonna keep pissing. Let me see. Our society has changed so much. Yeah, nah, they ain't no stalker. That's a little man. That's a little human being. Anyways, I was listening to boxing, but I got tired of them talking about Shakur. Shakur is such a boring fighter, and that's the truth. Let's go. Okay, I can give you something. Fuck it.
Imagine waking up to a clean house,
you know what I mean?
Fridge, and a whopping $5,800.
Oh, shut up, bitch. You always trying to, them hoes always trying to sell you something. But they ain't giving no pussy away for free. You always got an answer for no answer, but they ain't giving none of them draws away for free.
Hey, V, line them up.
Only thing they want to do, fuck with a nigga like me and you. We in the trap. Till I get them wet draws. I be out here wanting them and I want them like that, y'all. She got that tight stuff, that wet stuff. that gushy ass bullshit stuff. Hey, what should I turn down, the music? Or is it all good? The fuck's up? What the hell is back in the day? Where them hoes at tripping like this? Let me kick that shit spitting on this motherfucker sitting on that BS ride. Digging in the guts and I'm nasty in the mud and come with it. The trap got in my southern switch. I can throw it to the north and to the south. I'm up in this game to the night about. Nothing but this motherfucking pimp game. Come here, baby, and let me know your first name. I'm kissing and I'm licking up on you. But you're lying to me. What the fuck you do? With my pimp dog gangster for life. I think the reason why you want me to be your lover. And I think about you being my wife. I'm trapped, got the rap, goddamn. I've been in this shit so long. Once again, I'm not to sing this song. Let's go deep into your eardrum. Can you hear me coming with? Only thing I wanna do is get this shit. Sitting on you, just driving to my knees, licking on your honey spot, make you shiver and you shake. You grabbing my neck, my ears, and grabbing my. Oh, you're pulling me in. I got this deliciousness all over my face from your fart. Now you're shooting and you're spitting. Oh my God, you be coming. I'm on the run with this motherfucking gun in my hand. Po, chase me. Damn, I can't get away, man. I'm just shooting shit, y'all. Don't mind me, man. I'm out here in the streets just talking shit amongst shit. You heard me? Yeah, we about to have a real thunderstorm coming very soon. So we'll see. Oh boy. I'm banging with it. Out of nowhere. This is supposed to be about news. Hold on for a second. Hold on, y'all. This whole shit was supposed to be about nothing but news. Y'all got me out here trapping and rapping on some weird shit, you heard me? Just coming out the woodwork. Just open up my mental capacity to see if the vessel's open. Spewing some of these words. Now, if y'all don't like it, let me know, man. The best is fire. I appreciate that, dog. Just getting it. If y'all want to hear it, let me know, man. No, I'll stop. I ain't got shit to do with it. It's about to get dangerous. I mean, dangerous. We'll see, though. The beat is fire. Okay, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to run with it. I'm just trying to see where y'all at with it. Rapping is your specialty. Well, I'm trying to find my niche because nobody fucks with me unless I'm rapping. I swear to God. Aw, man, stop fucking with me. Y'all niggas want some love. That's unwanted. God damn, who is this? Motherfucker from where? 224 area code. That's some jealous motherfuckers, man. 224 area code. I gotta find out where that's at. Every time I get my mojo started, I'm like your boy in that movie. Every time I get my motherfucking mojo started, somebody wanna fuck with me. But when I ain't doing shit, nobody wanna fuck with me. What the fuck? All these cuss words, and you think that's something bad. Oh, he cussing. Everything is always about somebody want to stop you. Like, why is you calling me? For what? What's all these damn noises for? For what? When I'm not making no video, when I ain't doing shit, ain't none of this happening. All of a sudden now, nigga, in a creative mode, you want to be calling me, sending me messages. Man, get off my dick. Nobody don't want y'all. Nobody. Go mind y'all business. Whoever you are out there in public. I'm trying to entertain my damn subscribers. Are y'all ready, Technique? Are you ready, Jeffries? Sally, what, you know what I mean? Damn. They're worse than Coolio. He'll be in here, though. Do that dumb shit he does. Oh, God. Okay, well, we're going to get one off, and then we're going to hear Tariq. I'm sorry, man. I just am sorry, bro. I'm trying to spit these rhymes, and these niggas keep fucking with me. You see all that shit in the background? Once they hear my voice, it's like God. It's like God done said something and woke up. This, I think, only thing people want from me is my raps. High lost in the shit, dog. Put up in my head, man. I'm hitting y'all. Only thing I know, I got to pay the dues up. Russian roulette, man. I only got one chance. Look up on the silver bullet, put it down, that man on the table. Damn, I can't even feel my face when I'm drinking and I'm smoking, man. I'm out here in the race against time. We only feel this shit. This is the one way, and you gotta get it. Load up a bullet every day, man. I'm getting understanding, and I'm understanding. Only thing I'm doing out here, I'm not playing this. I'm taking chances. I'm doing shit that don't matter. Everywhere I go, they doing the same. Roll that bitch, spin that bitch, hand it back to you. You wanna start? Well, I'ma start, and I'ma see what you about, you fucking bitch. Wish you would switch. Wish you would flinch. Wish you would run. Wish you would do anything that you think that ain't about this fucking game. This is Russian roulette, man. Roll it, man. Pull the trigger, bitch, and I'ma beat you. Fuck you up and I ain't died. Now what you gonna do to? Hand the gun to you, nigga. I don't give a damn which way that it goes. When you wanna feel myself, I'm in spirit of a manifestation on this damn life. I've been doing this shit, trapped on my damn life. Watch SUPREMACY, hate this trap, rapping MC, KOD. Now it's your turn, beast. Pull that trigger, you gon' know what it's like to be a man of a million man. And I'm rushing this to the stage, protesting, gets a nigga like them. You got a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you. Fuck! Don't hate me, man. I told you they hate me, dog. No. The same fucking beats over and over. Why? Oh my God. I can't believe I got to do better. Down on my knee, nigga. I'ma use this shit though. Down on my knee, nigga. I don't know why. I don't give a fuck, nigga. I don't know why. I'm waiting in the bushes. I think they're trying to smell me. I've been breathing hard. But nigga coming home wants to get his own. With his wife and kids wants to get his own. Please, Lord, I don't want to really do this. But I need something. I'ma start with this. I don't give a fuck. I gotta do what I gotta do. The nigga slipping every fucking day. If the road will reverse, he do it to me. I mean, the trap god, rap god. I took it easy. I kicked his ass, beat his ass in the bar. I'ma look at his wife, say, bitch, shut up, though. I see his future in my motherfucking face. I'll take his shit, then kick in the door, bring them all in. Damn, this is criminal behavior. Rico charges. Give me ease up. Rap God, I hear the nigga in the game go so hard. Taking where the knee gotta go, and I'm dropping his motherfucking. Oh shit. I can't even pronounce that shit, but I'm rolling in the trap game. Once again, my name, Trap God, Rap God. I'm KOD, hitting 3 motherfucking letters on the fucking dashboard. I'm in and out of shit, man. They call it po me, man. I'm looking in my rear view. I see him coming, man. I'm on the run. Hit the motherfucker to the floor. It's Trap God, let him go. Whoop, Woo, and I'm flowing. Woo, woo, am I rapping, am I talking, am I yipping, and I'm yelling, and I'm my painting pictures in my mind. What's happening to me, the trap guy? Woo, 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 woo. I'm a menace, I'm a danger, I'm the one that's America's most wanted. I'm on the run, come on! Picture me rolling, picture me spitting, picture me sticking, my fingers out. I don't give a fuck, once again it's on, I'm in a motherfucking zone and I'm mastering it. I'm in the heat of battle. I told you, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you. In the law, fuck the fucking law. It's just as good as yes, and yeah, we are going off. All going to hell and these Anyways, am I wrong? Am I right? Am I whack? Am I trash? Y'all let me know.
I get it if y'all think the state have been
hell
neglecting
no,
you,
bitch.
but with this
You
new program,
lying,
actually
woman. Should I stop rapping? Should I put the mic down? Ooh, it's getting dangerous out here, boy. It's getting black in the sky. It's really getting dark.
Maybe. Line them up.
Street light. Street light. Can I have someone to put me in a peace of mind? Ooh. Can I have someone give me a hug? I want to stop this. Can I have someone to embrace me? Can I have someone to baptize me? Well, again, this just is wordplay. Woo, 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 woo. Translation every single day. All your amongst yourself. I mean, let's get it. Can I have someone to hold me? Can I have someone? I'm down on my knees. I'm down on my knees. Kiss the ring, kiss my feet, let me know. Look at me. I feel you. I hear you. What you want me to do? Obey the sound of my voice. I'm crying, my tears don't work. Why you punish me? Because I can, nigga. What? You the weakest vessel. You the weakest one. You the weakest in this. You was cursed to birth and you my slave. Am I in a trap? I get it every day. Ooh. Can somebody hold me? Mr. Retarded, stupid. Where you sitting at on the motherfucking, oh shit, the spectrum? Are you autistic? Mr. Broken, off the hinges, and just like lost? I mean, that's just call it what it is. You're blind, stupid and dumb. You know you ain't got what it takes to rise up. You could never be this leader in the tribe. Nobody gonna follow you. Nobody wants to listen to you. Your self-esteem will be tarnished, beat down, because you don't have no leadership ability. Fuck your self-esteem. Fuck it. Anything you say you want to be, you'll never be that. You are a sinner, fool. Please, Lord, help me. Who the trap god? The rap god, the trap god. K.O.D. I'm just talking shit, y'all. I'm fucking minding me, man. Alright, man. I'm sorry I got to get my civil rights movement on. I gotta listen to Tariq Nasheed here in a minute. I'm already late for class. Come on, 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 come on. The fuck we doing, huh? Smoked out. I need one. Blow that shit, come out. I need one. I'm ready for this hot box, passing all the shit, man. Let's get it on, man. Smoking till I can't smoke, drinking till I can't drink. I don't give a fuck, man. I always tell them what they had to hear, man. Last call, alcohol. Bitch, you want me to whip your ass? Keep on talking the shit, and I don't say that shit. I'm just getting with it. I mean, I need it all. I don't give a fuck what it's called. I'm drinking till I can't drink no more, y'all. I put my pass. I need a bump. I need something that's white and brown. I need Skittles. Come on, man. Pop a pill, do it right. Fitting all, I don't care what it is. Y2K, flocker, I don't give a fuck. I need gas, need propofol. I don't know what I need. I need a lean right to left. Only thing I need, I know I need a motherfucking Jolly Rancher. I'ma shake it up and shake it in a spray bottle. Then I'm talking slow, you know. I'm running energy. I'm chopped up, screwed up, fucked up. I don't give a damn, man. That's what's up, man. My motor still running low, cause I'm on this shit. Now my voice changing, then I'm in the deep. It's a fact from a fact, and let's go. Give me some of that white shit. Now here I go, man. This is 50 bar. Nigga, I go so fucking hard. The only thing I want, man, just to be in charge. Give me Adderall. I don't give a fuck. I will see it up, go like this. You know what's up. Who do I belong to? Be the trap god on this fucking stage, man. I go so hard. Here I go again, sitting on the stage, and my chain just swinging back and forth, man. God, thank you, Jesus, please. I'm really out here, bring it to your knees. Drag your ass, and I'm up, I'm gonna take your cash. I love them up. Cryptocurrency in the stock market. You know it's me. I'm richer than a bitch, and I'm richer than a bitch, and the life they gave us shit. I'm a trap guy. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm a rap guy. Y'all ready for this, man? Y'all ready for this, or y'all want me to stop? Let me know, man. I ain't gonna do shit else till y'all motherfucker let me know. Get it, girl. It's right here for the hoes. I'm gonna take a break for a second. I need somebody to let me know. Y'all want me to keep going or you want me to stop? It's gonna be for the hoes, though, man. I gotta do a love one for the women, man. But I need somebody to let me know. Y'all want me to stop or keep going? Because I gotta let Tariq Nasheed go ahead and talk. He on that black pro-black shit. You know what I mean? Y'all gonna learn something when y'all understand. Y'all over in the black media. We gonna teach you about how these white Anglo-Saxons out here with the blue devil eyes, they hate us for no reason. We ain't did a motherfucking thing. They on code, CODE, to watch us, to hold us down, to make sure we never rise up. Generation after generation. And they just ride around just staring at you. Daring you to be great. They hate you with a passion. You know, you think I'm wrong? Ain't nobody got nothing to say, so I ain't gonna make no power moves. I'm about to put him on. I was gonna do another song, but it's gonna be for the ladies. This next track is for the ladies. Well, I'm ready. Now when I show up and I'm ready, y'all ain't ready. Fuck y'all waiting on, I need a response. Alright. Well, there goes that. Let's go ahead and let the black militant race baiter talk. Oh shit. Am I gonna be able to put this on without... I'm gonna have to go back in and out. What's it is a communist, the remedy to racism. Is communism the remedy to racism? All right. Let's see what happens. I know I'm going to go out and come back in. As soon as I hit this, it's going to close, and then I have to come back in. It ain't set up. I could set it up another way, but we'll try this way.
And that was something that was coming from the soil and the roots of this country. You know, that wasn't coming from a foreign power making that happen. So, you know, I think that's the real America, basically, you know?
Yeah, but then here's another thing that's kind of ironic. Even though it was black people who helped the North win the Civil War, after the Civil War, some of the Union soldiers went down into Natchez, Mississippi, and they created a slight genocide against some of the newly freed enslaved foundational black Americans. They had something called the Devil's Punch Bowl, where they sat there and locked the people down and starved them out, and many of them died. So the Union soldiers did a real dirty payback game to the foundational black Americans who were freed afterwards. So we've always had this relationship where we would fight for the country and try to preserve the integrity of the country. And after the war, we get even more marginalized. Even after World War II, even my family members went over to Germany and helped free people and help the United States win. Yet when they got back here, they couldn't get the same benefits that white soldiers would get. We couldn't get a GI Bill. We couldn't get the same home loans. We couldn't get the same resources. So we got marginalized over here after the World War II and other wars like that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And, you know, so here's where I'm coming from with the communism thing, basically, is, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about this. You know, I think that a lot of this what you call the common law white supremacy, where, you know, they're excluding especially the black people who gave their lives for this country to build and make it what it is. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that we never had an economic bill of rights that is for all Americans, you know. And so they could very selectively only apply the economic benefits to whoever they wanted, because technically it was a privilege, not a right, you know. And to me, it's not that I think that, you know, communism should just be totally colorblind, but I think it's something that can acknowledge the different races or peoples that make up, you know, historically America's. Because, you know, I don't know if you agree. I think that there's only three major groups that are the main groups that, you know, are part of American history. One is the foundational black Americans. The others would be Hispanics, like from Mexico primarily, and then the European Americans. The rest don't really have a strong footing in the country. And I feel like communism can be a very specific way to address and recognize that reality explicitly. So it's not a matter of common law anymore. It's a matter of economic rights for Americans. Similar to, you know, Dr. King's Poor People's Campaign.
Well, the thing is, it sounds good on paper, but whenever we start getting a financial stronghold anywhere, unfortunately, the white supremacists, they just come along and destroy it. And this has been the problem historically. We talk about the Greenwood area of Tulsa, and the people are still, some of them are still alive, and they're not receiving justice now. They just had their case struck down in court a few weeks ago, and some of the survivors, they're like 105, 104 years old. So they're still around, and they're still not receiving justice after the city dropped bombs on their prosperous community. You have other places like Rosewood, Florida, which was a prominent black area, destroyed by white supremacists in 1923. Wilmington, North Carolina, prosperous black area, got destroyed by white supremacists in 1898. Elaine, Arkansas, there was a massacre against the black sharecroppers there who were organizing for fair wages. Durham, North Carolina, just so many places. Bronzeville, Illinois, so many places where we try to get an economic footing, and it always gets sabotaged. And the problem is, it just always goes right back to systematic white supremacy. We can put all of these theories on paper, what would work, what would not work, what would be feasible, but for some reason, nobody can ever seem to do anything to thwart the white supremacists from organizing and destroying everything that we try to build economically, and then we get forced into a economically deprived underclass. And dealing with the white supremacists, that's always glanced over. We have to figure out how to deal with the white supremacists, and nobody's telling us who they are, nobody's pointing them out, and nobody who's not a white supremacist, they don't seem to have the power to do anything to stop them, to help us produce justice. So again, how do we deal with the problem of systematic white supremacy that's global?
Well, my view is that white supremacy it has a paper trail. It's rooted in a very specific financial system, a very specific, and I'm not just saying a system like in the abstract. I mean specific cartels of international banks that basically have the whole country in a chokehold through debt, And that's just my perspective. I could be wrong, but that's my perspective. But I'm open to alternative, theories about what it really is rooted in. Because my view is that it's rooted in something ultimately that's based in a specific and centuries old, global way in which the resources and wealth of not just this country, but many countries have been controlled by a small group,
Well, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, the late Dr. Welsing, who was a brilliant black psychiatrist who was in Washington, D.C., she gave a great theory about the root of white supremacy globally, because when she was in college, she went to Germany. She wanted to study the Holocaust. She wanted to study what happened and why. Why did they decide to eliminate so many people? And she realized that the problem wasn't religion, it wasn't social, it was a genetic ethnic cleansing. They didn't feel like the Jewish people were white enough. And this was about genetic survival. So her theory was white supremacy is rooted in white genetic survival. Because if you are around people who are black and they are the global majority, when you procreate, that's going to create black or non-white offspring. So in order to maintain your survival as a global minority, you have to create a system that's brutal, and it deprives the non-white people of basic human rights. So that was her theory. The rule and the reason of white supremacy and the root of it was white genetic survival. And we hear a lot of people who believe in white supremacy talk about their birth rates, the numbers being dwindled down, white survival. And I don't think that's talked about openly enough, because that's really, according to Dr. Welsing, the root of a lot of the anti-black racism, because black people have the capacity to basically annihilate the genes to a certain degree, and I'm trying to put this in very sensitive terms. So black people have been the antithesis of whiteness. The culture of whiteness is basically, we're not black. And everything has to be anti-black in order to have a culture of white supremacy. So that's what the root of it is, according to our sister, Dr. Welsing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean,
I never use
my only skepticism, though, is because whenever I think of things in terms of biology, I have to think, I don't know what your view on that is. They say, our biology has existed for thousands and thousands of years. Mostly for the most part. Most of the human genetics. I'm actually skeptical of genetics. A lot of the assumptions we have about genetics and biology and how that works, but we don't have to get into that.
Right.
But my skepticism would be that for thousands and thousands of years, if we're defining white people as basically Europeans who are light-skinned and light eyes, who were in Europe, living in Europe, the white supremacy did not really arrive until a very specific point in history. And this is thousands and thousands of years, and before then, when what recorded evidence we have of Europeans coming into contact with non-white people it wasn't a relationship of white supremacy, or it didn't exhibit the same tendencies. You more often than not had fusions. They would willingly mix together and form new peoples. Even this is in large part how some ethnicities, like in Finland, were formed. There's a mix between white and I don't know if they're the Sami, Asian, something like that. So I tend not to want to look toward biological explanations. One, because it's the time issue. People have been around for thousands of years, and white supremacy was around much more recently. And two, I want to be more optimistic and believe it's not about biology, it's not about genetics. There's a way humanity can bring justice to the world, or there's a way for Americans to acquire justice. But that's just my perspective.
Well, yeah. Well, you're right. There were, white people have been around for thousands of years. The concept of white supremacy historically is relatively new. It came out of Spain first. Spain had the first blood quantum laws. They had something called, I think, limpieza de sangre, the purity of blood. And they were the first to implement that in the 15th century. And the reason why they did that is because you had black people in Spain who were ruling for 700 years. You had the black Moors. And when they had the Reconquista, the Spanish realized, okay, these black people have changed the phenotype of Spain. They've darkened the people up and made somewhat of a fixed mulatto race. Spanish people originally used to be blonde hair, blue eyed, just like many other people in Europe. Even now, the Spanish people and Southern Italians and people down there where the Moors were are genetically darker than Northern Europeans. They try to blame the Mediterranean, but that's not it. They understood that it was that Moorish bloodline. So that was part of the Reconquista, to get those black Moors out of Spain. And when they did, the Europeans from Spain were able to get those Moorish maps, get access to those Moorish trade routes, and then start to travel out and venture outside of Europe and come in contact and encounter black and dark Aboriginal people around the world. This is when they started to implement systematic white supremacy. So it was coming out of Spain first. And it appears to be based on them realizing that Europeans are a global minority, and you're in a world full of these dark and brown people who could genetically wipe you out. So they had to implement a system where they control the people. And if you can control the people, you can control miscegenation, as they call it now. And that's why they had miscegenation laws here in the United States and other places, where they determined who could procreate and who could not procreate based on race. They would have the one drop rule based on race, saying if you have one drop of black blood, that makes you black. So all of these weird blood quantum laws started to come about in order to really suppress black people and dark-skinned Aboriginal people. So it's a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and that's true. All the blood quantum stuff, a lot of that was related to the development of race, so-called race science itself, but It's true that Spain was the blueprint for the Reconquista was the blueprint. It was the first thing for all European colonialism. That's true. I mean, that was the paradigm. That set the model. But, I have to wonder, don't you think that's more rooted in religion? Because it's not just that they were Europeans and they were white. It was specifically that it was Western Europe and Western Christianity. Whereas, there's people with blue eyes and blonde hair, over in the East with the Slavs, Russians or whatever, and they had Eastern Christianity. And their contact with non-white people did not lead to, the same results. And I think there's a huge angle here that's religious that might be, worth taking into consideration, because the Reconquista wasn't, before it was about race, it was about religion, and the race stuff became an extension of the religious conflict, to my understanding, where it wasn't just that these were outsiders because they looked different and they had different genetics. It was that they had a different faith, and that the descendants of people who had that faith were I don't know if you heard of this, they had to hide it, they pretended that they were conversios or whatever they were called, and that their descendants were more likely to basically be maintaining that a different faith in secret, So I wonder what your perspective on that is.
Yeah, because a lot of people try to reduce it to just a religious thing, but that's not the case, because in Spain, it was the so-called Christians against the Muslims, but it was really the whites against the blacks, because you had a lot of the Moors who actually converted to Christianity. They were called Moriscos, and they still marginalized them. They still expelled them. I think King Philip in around 1609 expelled all the Moriscos, and these were Christians. Even now, black people converted to Christianity, and they still got marginalized. We were marginalized during slavery. There's a black church and a white church. Even today, you're supposed to both be Christians, but we don't share the same religious facilities. So it's all based on race. Race trumps religion and all other things. Religion, communism, all the other isms. It's always trumped by racism. And racism in the form of white supremacy. So all roads always lead back to white supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, but what about elsewhere, though? Because I know that, in North Africa today, you do have people with lighter skin. Some people, it seems like it's a mix. In the Middle East, you have people with light eyes, you have people with dark eyes, and I don't see that if there's colorism, it seems like it was very recent, because, for example, I know this is anecdotal, but speaking on experience, in terms of the nobility of a family's lineage in Middle Eastern societies, the racial factor is totally it's meaningless. There's absolutely no correlation. People with very dark skin and very dark features oftentimes come from the highest and most esteemed noble families, and sometimes this is literally the case. Actually, I can name the village itself. People with lighter hair and lighter eyes are considered more of the lower class, based on the family name they come from, just tendencies, And then in terms of marriage, it's not even a consideration in terms of, what you look like, in terms of how white or how dark you are. It's only based on family name. So what about that dynamic where it seems like, is it just something Europe? Is there something in Europe specifically, or is it the white pigmentation in general?
I think the white skin, there has to be a dominating thing over dark skin, and it trumps religion. Let's go back to North Africa. You mentioned North Africa. In Morocco, you have some of the white Arabs, and in Islam, you're not supposed to conquer and dominate other Muslims, but those Moroccan Arabs went down into West Africa to another Muslim stronghold and conquered them. These were darker, black-skinned Muslims. And they had no problem conquering them and slaughtering them and taking over their land and their resources. So this was very common with a lot of the pale-skinned Muslims attacking other dark-skinned Muslims. So that usually, the white skin or the pale skin usually trumps all of that stuff. And again, in theory, they have all of these theoretical edicts, but in practice, they practice something different. They practice a common law. And I think that's global. Even in Asia, some of the pale-skinned Asian people, they still marginalize the dark-skinned Aboriginal people over in these lands, and the Filipinos, and in those lands, the black-skinned Negritos over there, because you got black people all over Asia. In the Philippines, black folks with afros, they get marginalized by the paler skinned people over there. So it's a global thing. It's a global thing. And that mindset has basically, you got a lot of people who come over here to the United States and they want to get closer to the white supremacists here because America is a very prosperous lake nation. And we got a lot going on here. And a lot of people, when they get here, they bring some of the anti-black racism with them. And they don't mind being second fiddle to the white supremacists here as long as they can be on top of us. So that's another weird dynamic that we have, too, with other people who've been marginalized by white supremacy. Because white supremacy has devastated many of their homelands. So instead of fighting white supremacy, they come over here and be perfectly fine with being second fiddle. And that helps to perpetuate white supremacy. So that's a problem as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely recognize that. You know, I see where you're coming from when it comes to the dynamic with immigrant groups, you know, that come here and basically don't have a lot of respect for the historical, the groups that have been here and, you know, try to basically take advantage of, you know, the race relations in a way that they feel can benefit them.
Right.
But, you know, I
think also.
I don't know. I think that
which I will after.
There's interesting cases of the lighter skin and the darker skin dynamic because what do you think the origin of it is? Because I think I don't really believe in that genetics are just, you know, what they say is what they tried to say before, but they're unable to say it anymore because it's been disproven that genes are basically fixed because of directly because of natural selection in the past, and that's the origin of all the physical differences. And it's just these fixed units of heredity where it seems like people are more dynamically able to adapt to different environments. And this has physical consequences, and I think it's related to the sun when it comes to skin color. Is it not, or?
Not really, because you have there were Eskimos that were very dark skinned, or I don't. Inuit people, I think Eskimo was a pejorative term, but you had some of the people living in cold areas who had dark skin, and even in Europe, what we see as European pigmentation, the blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, many scientists say that was some type of form of albinism because of the Permian Ice Age. So there's different theories on that. But what we do know is that when people came out of Europe, according to Dr. Welsing, when they started to procreate with some of the Aboriginal people around the world, and they saw the offspring, they realized that the offspring was going to be non-white. So every mammal or every living being, they do want to preserve whatever bloodline or whatever species or whatever look that they have. So they realize if we keep procreating with these people just willy-nilly, they're not going to look like us. So I think that was the root of white supremacy. In order to maintain or to create within a global society, to maintain whiteness, you had to create a system of segregation where you're basically protecting your own genetics. In order to do that, you have to conquer the world and take over the people who could marginalize your bloodline. So I think that's the root of white supremacy. They had to go in and control the Aboriginal people, control the resources, control the wealth, control the finances, control their movement. So the white supremacists already coming from a war society in Europe, because there was a lot of wars in Europe. They utilized that war society on the Aboriginal people, and we're still dealing with that to this day. That's my theory.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just, the skepticism for me is just, I think that we're dealing with very specific histories, and, human history itself, they say, is 10,000 years old, right? And then human beings, they say that. Yeah. That's what they say. I may not be true. And then
they found fossils over here, like of human beings going back 20,000 years, from what I understand. So yeah.
Well, I just mean like in the sense of recorded civilization, like agriculture and stuff. Yeah. Right. And then human beings, like biologically, have been around for God knows how long. Over a million years, and they say modern humans is 200,000. They keep changing it. I don't know. But, regardless, I think that I don't know if it's a binary where it's just different races are only defined by whether they have white skin or light eyes or dark eyes and dark skin. For example, in Africa itself, I'm sure you know this, there's different ethnic groups. They may have dark skin and dark eyes, but they're not the same people. They still identify as different peoples, and they don't consider themselves the same, different ethnic groups and things. So as far as what makes a race in terms of what they want to preserve and so on, I don't know if it's just about the appearance. I think that it's more about a specific historical lineage that's based on a shared story and a shared, historical, existence, and I think that's more important in terms of how people come to define themselves. And I think the notion of, white nationalism, let's say, or white supremacy, I think that's, there's a lot of things that have been brought around that same time as the rise of white supremacy. It's capitalism, it's colonialism, it's all these different ways in which humanity itself is under assault. And from every corner, from the family to spiritual, everything is under nature, everything is under assault, So I like to look at it more of not as a specific people just trying to preserve themselves, because what specific people, just having a few physical characteristics. I tend to see it as a crisis humanity is facing, where it's been on a path of self-destruction and self-immolation.
Being eliminated.
I see communism as a way to turn back against that, but that's just my
opinion. And you picking
but the thing is, it's the white supremacists. They're the ones who came up with all of the racial classifications, and they're the ones who enforce the racial classifications. Modern racial classifications only came about around 1775, I think, and that was Blumenbach, Frederick Blumenbach, the German physicist, and he was the first one to say, okay, there's a Caucasian race, there's a Negroid race, there's a Mongolian race, there's a Malaysian race, and he was the one who said, okay, the Caucasian race, they're the best. They're the ones on top, they're the most beautiful, and they got the most attractive skulls. So that started coming about with them. So they were already planting the seeds of more white supremacy with scientific so-called justifications of it. And when they start putting these things into law, saying, okay, the whites can live here, but you blacks are going to have to live there, and we're going to militarily enforce this, that's when it becomes a problem. When you have the dominant white society making these distinctions and enforcing these distinctions militarily. So it just goes beyond opinions, because it's easy to say, hey, we're all just human and we're all the same. But you have a group of people who believe in white supremacy who are dictating how people can live and survive based on this racial construct that's artificial. Yet they've created it, and they're backing it up militarily, and it affects the lives of the people who are victimized by these racial categories. So again, it always goes back to the white supremacists. They are the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that the categories were created as you described, and you know, and yeah, that was the justification they used to loot and genocide the world. But I just want to draw attention to that category, you know, the Caucasian race or all these, that doesn't refer to like a real shared historical existence. It doesn't refer to anything specific. It refers to an existence purely defined by exclusion and negativity. But in terms of the positive content, there's nothing there. It's a nothingness, you know. It's just a not others. But in terms of the selfhood, there's no real positive selfhood to speak of that it's referring to. And I think that follows a pattern of, you know, the rise, and that's the communist perspective, basically, is that the white supremacy you're talking about is a form of nihilism, you know. It's a worship of nothingness,
right,
that arrives on the scene of humanity and history at the same time as capitalism, which is related, you know, which is another form of worshiping nothingness, of money for money's own sake. And money, you know, doesn't necessarily refer to anything specific. It's just profit for profit's sake, regardless of, you know, what the consequences are. So I see these things as related and part of the same, you know, historical phenomena, more or less.
Now going back to the scientific racism, see, this is why reparations now for foundational Black Americans is very important, because during slavery they created these scientifically racist ideologies, and those racist ideologies still hunt us now. We still have books like The Bell Curve and other books like that. The Heritage Foundation, they put out studies with this same type of anti-Black rhetoric that they try to base it in science based on the Blumenbach theories. And we're still suffering from the residuals of that now as foundational Black Americans. Even other things like the way our diet was maintained during slavery, during the 1700s, 1800s. We were forced to eat certain foods that lacked nutritional value and foods that actually harmed us. And some of these genetic deficiencies were passed down, the high blood pressure, hypertension, things like that. That was passed down genetically based on what we were forced to eat and being deprived of nutritional value during slavery. We're still suffering from those things. So this is why reparations is very important, because of those anti-Black things that were promulgated during slavery are still haunting us right now. So do you think that reparations would be a viable solution to help remedy some of the past atrocities that we're still suffering from?
My view is that it's fundamental. There's no way that this country moves forward as a unified nation. You know, Black people it was understood back then when the slavery was abolished that the former slaves would get 40 acres and a mule. Why? Because even then they understood you could be free on paper, you know, but even then they understood if you're going to be a free American citizen, you need to have land. You need to have something to stand on. And, you know, that was never given to Black Americans. And, you know, the stuff about being a permanent underclass you're talking about, it's definitely related to that legacy. So, you know, I fully support it. You know, and another thing, you know, I want to get your thoughts on this because it's interesting, because isn't it also true that those racial categories in large part have also made it so that Black Americans could not be, you know, insist upon their unique historical existence as foundational Black Americans, right? And then basically getting lumped in with every other kind of Black ethnic group because of the classifications that you mentioned that were created, you know?
Yeah, that was an interesting dynamic when they would try to lump us in with different groups. And also another thing that's very interesting, that there were Black people already here on this land. This was very well documented. And they first brought African enslaved people over here, 1619. That's why they emphasize 1619 so much. That's the first time they actually had people from Africa coming to North America. But there were black people already here that was very well documented. There was the San Miguel del Guadape settlement that Moors came over with the Spanish, and they rose up against the Spanish. And the Spanish went and they fled to the Caribbean, and the black people amalgamated in with the other Native American tribes. And there were so many other black Aboriginal tribes here that the Europeans saw when they got here, but they were all just reclassified as Negro. They just put everybody together and said, you guys are all Negro, and these are the rights you have, these are the rights you do not have. So they've always tried to play those little games with our ethnicity, and also they've tried to other us away from this land by saying, okay, you guys are African American, and that kind of makes us guests on our own land. So a lot of people now are recognizing their Aboriginal status, and even as foundational Black Americans, there was no United States until foundational Black Americans built that. So technically, we are still indigenous to the United States because we didn't immigrate here. So there's a lot of very interesting dynamics as far as that.
Y'all following me?
No, that's real interesting. I didn't know about that. That dynamic, before 1619.
Oh yeah.
I haven't read too much about, the exact origins of America and the people's year, but that's very interesting, But, more or less, I would say, I think your perspective is very interesting, and, I definitely think you've got a lot of the history correct, in terms of how things match up. Maybe we just may see things a little bit differently as far as the cause, but, it's more like an agree to disagree kind of thing, I guess. Because, it's a matter of, well, what strategy do you think is the most viable? Because I'm open-minded too,
Like, you're really just...
I think, man, if the United States did the right thing with reparations, that's going to be the first step. You do the first step with reparations, that will be a big step to making America what it's supposed to be, a land of equality, a land of equity, a land of justice. And also reparations, that would be an economic stimulus for the entire economy, that will stimulate the economy, that will stimulate education, skill development, that will stimulate better health. We as foundational Black Americans, we've always been the moral fiber of this country. We've always been very patriotic. The money we get will not be sent outside of the country, and we will do so many phenomenal things that will benefit the entire country. And it would just be a good look internationally, so that America won't look like hypocrites when they go and wag their finger to other nations telling them about democracy. And these countries look at America like, hey, we see what you're doing to those black people over there, so how are you going to wag your finger to us? So just on an international level, that would look good, and that would make this country the nation that it's supposed to be. So that would be the first step.
See, I agree with that. And, obviously, if black people found a way to get the reparations by any means, however they see fit, I wouldn't, far be it for me to want to stand in the way. But what I think about is strategy. Like, how does it happen? How does it made happen? And I think, yeah,
it's very simple. The same way they do with the Red Native American tribes. Remember, when they had when they started the Bureau of Indian Affairs, they had the Freedmen's Bureau at the same time. The Freedmen's Bureau, they had the Freedmen's Banks, and they saw how much money we were putting in those banks, and they let the Bureau of Indian Affairs, they let that thrive, and they sabotaged the Freedmen's Bank. The white supremacists gutted that and took all the money from that, and then broke up the Freedmen's Bureau and never gave us the 40 acres and a mule and the economic wherewithal we needed after slavery. So that put us in a bind. So they could do reparations the exact same way they do with the Native American tribes. You designate who's qualified, which we've already worked out. We know how to find out who has foundational Black American ancestry and lineage, and then allocate the resources the same way, with checks, land grants, casinos, tax-free status. There's so many other ways they can do it, but the template is already there. Just do it the same way they do it with the red Native American tribes.
I mean, I believe they can do it. Like, they can do it if they wanted to do it. Absolutely, like 100%. It would. I mean, it would be. It would definitely be very possible. But when I say strategy, like how it would be done, I mean more in the sense of like a political strategy to force it to happen. Because clearly the powers that be don't want this to happen. You know, and there's a lot of political obstacles. And the obstacles, they're political obstacles. They're not like technical obstacles, like in the sense of, oh, this isn't possible. It's obstacles in the sense of there's political forces that stand in the way of this, you know? So when I think of a strategy to maneuver about that, to actually get this done and make this happen, you know, I can't help but come to the conclusion, and, you know, if you see it differently, I'm open to hearing your perspective. I can't imagine it happening unless it's something that's made popular and linked up with, you know, something that's also general. Not to say that it's like it's for everyone. It's still very specific to foundational Black Americans, but to where, for example, in addition, like you link it up, reparations, you link that up, for example, with debt cancellation, or you link it up with another land reform as well. That way, other groups have something to gain from it as well. Does that make sense, or?
Yeah, but what happens is it ends up gutting us out of it. And they did that with affirmative action. Affirmative action was supposed to be for us. It was supposed to be corrective action because Black people were excluded. They said, well, let's create an affirmative action program to let's give somewhat of a preferential treatment to Black people so that they can get certain job positions, certain school admissions. But what they did at the last minute, instead of doing it for Black people, they said, let's just do it for minorities. And minorities, that's a catch-all term. Everybody's a minority in a certain sense. White women are minorities. Native Americans are minorities. Gay white people are minorities. Hispanics are minorities. Handicapped people are minorities. So affirmative action ended up benefiting white people more than it benefited Black people. And the interesting thing, they tried to pretend that there was this big flood of Black people
exactly what you can
beating the system off of affirmative action, which we weren't. The dominant society, they're very well aware that affirmative action is something that benefited them more than us. So again, these catch-all programs like minority, diversity, that doesn't work for us, because what happens is other people get to capitalize off of our suffering. That's why they create these terms that's almost like boogeyman terms that's supposed to be for Black people, but they're really for other people to benefit from. Like DEI, that's the new boogeyman term. Diversity, equity, inclusion. That's more of the white LGBT people. They benefit off that, but they make it seem like it's a Black boogeyman program where unqualified Black people are siphoning off jobs and positions from qualified whites and Asians. Same thing with CRT, that's another boogeyman term that was cooked up in one of these white supremacist think tanks, where in schools, white kids are going to be punished by listening to Black history and all that. All of these are boogeyman terms that's created by the white supremacists. They create their own form of discrimination that they pretend Black people are practicing against them. So we got to be very specific about what we're supposed to get as foundational Black Americans. We need reparations for foundational Black Americans. When they gave reparations to the Japanese, they didn't attach anything else to it that would benefit the rest of dominant society. They just gave it to them. Even when they give money to victims or the survivors of the Holocaust, they don't attach it to anything else. They just give it to them. With the Native Americans, the red ones, when they give them their benefits, they don't attach it to anything else. With Black people, because anti-Black racism is such a cultural phenomenon. Just the thought of us getting something that nobody else is getting, that's damaging to the psyche of the white supremacists. So I think just getting that type of anti-black racism being so normalized, that's something that needs to be worked on
and you got
by
everything.
people in the
All
dominant
them
society
toys
who
you
do
got
not
over
believe
there,
in
you
racism.
want the
We have
one
to
that
stop
he playing, but
normalizing
it could
this
be a
vile
pencil
anti-black
eraser.
racism that says we're not supposed to get anything unless everybody else can benefit from it, because that is by definition slavery. That's what we had to do. We had to work and we had to suffer and we had to sacrifice so everybody else could capitalize off of our labor and suffering. So people have this whole slave mindset with us. If we're not being the slaves for everybody, anything we do is not valid. So that has to be changed psychologically, collectively. So that's something that needs to be worked on, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from
No, you don't.
with affirmative
You just
action
keep
and
saying
even
the
civil
same
rights
shit
law. I mean,
over
to
and
be
over.
honest,
You
you
don't see where
know,
it's coming
it's not
from.
just white
You just
people, it's
bullshit.
all these immigrant groups
Here we go.
have totally capitalized on that. I mean,
You let him
people,
do
you know,
that to you, Tariq.
there's
You're crazy as
Brahmins,
fuck.
you know, they
brought
come from
this
the top
some bitch
caste
on here
in India. I don't know if you know how that
to do
works.
the
And, you know,
same
they
thing
reap
everybody
benefits from
else
that
does.
shit, you know, and there's people come around the world who
I
have
would have been
historically
disagreeing with him now.
suffered zero oppression anywhere,
No.
and they come here and they
Keep saying
benefit
that. Last
from things that were originally designed for black
10
people, you know.
minutes,
So I
he
totally
just
see
saying
where you're coming from, and
everybody and all.
I can see,
Just
you know,
to
the
fuck
suspicion,
with
and
him.
I can see the record historically that,
And I can't believe
you know,
Tariq
especially with
hasn't
civil rights,
caught
black
on.
people will gain something, and then it's made for everybody, and then they get the short end of the stick, more or less.
Absolutely.
So I see where you're coming from with that, and then, you know, then I would think, just from my perspective, then I would think that politically speaking, there would have to be an independent black voice, you know, that has leadership over the black community and can negotiate and hold the votes and
You
hold
don't
the
need all
support
that.
as leverage.
What the fuck are you talking
You know,
about?
And that independence is needed, so, you know, they don't
What
get
the
screwed
fuck
over
are
in
you
any
talking
kind of
about?
alliance or
You're
anything
doing
like
too
that.
much.
But the reason I
What the hell are you talking about?
We can't have that. Again, white supremacy, the COINTELPRO program by J. Edgar Hoover.
We need somebody
that
that's
made
so
sure that we could
intellectual.
not
That's
have
what
a
he's
so-called
trying to
black
say.
messiah.
That to sit
That's
down
something that needs to be
and
studied.
bond with the
People
white
really need to
folks, the white
study
Anglo-Saxons,
the FBI's
deep-rooted
COINTELPRO
hatred
program,
ones
which is still alive
that can
today.
make everything
In
so easily
1970
workable.
or 71,
So
there was
bitch
a group
ass
called the
on,
Weather
nigga.
Underground.
Get on
They
off
broke
of
into a
this damn
field
shit and
office.
stop fucking with
I think it
people,
was
man.
in
You
Philadelphia.
playing around.
And they got this
Wasting our
document from
time.
the FBI. And this was the COINTELPRO papers. And this was a very, very deep document showing how the FBI has systematically went around monitoring any type of black leader or potential black leader in black society all over. This was in the 1950s and 60s. And it specifically says there can never be a rise of a black messiah. Any type of black power movement has to be suppressed. Any type of black leadership, they have to be suppressed. We have to take control over them. And this is why so many black leaders have been assassinated, marginalized, or jailed. And that program is still valid to this very day. So I just say, hey, let's go directly to the dominant society. We don't need a black leader because the black leaders are already going to be co-opted. When we have black spokespersons, usually they're co-opted by some type of political party, especially on the Democrat side.
Right there's the reason why we
certain
politicians
who happen to be black. They can only say so much, or their funding is going to get taken away, and they're going to get marginalized. So we just have to go directly to the dominant society and say, hey, look, this is what needs to be done. Because if we try to, have a so-called black leader or whatever, people try to put me into the black leadership category. I tell people all the time, not a black leader. We don't need a black leader. We just got to get on code and be on the same page and let logic be the leader. And let's get on a unified front and just say to the dominant society and the people that's holding and maldistributing the resources. Hey, this is what we need, and we're not going to participate in some of the political parties that you guys put out here, because that legitimizes the benign neglect program that you have against us, because that's another thing. They created a benign neglect policy in the late 1960s in order to make us invisible, and that benign neglect policy is still here. So we as Black people collectively, not just with the leader, we need to say, hey, we're not going to participate in the electoral process. We will drop out of that process altogether and just do things among our own group if you do not give us the right resources we need in order to participate in that system. So there's different tactics that we can use, and we can be as innovative as possible, because nothing has worked so far, but we can be innovative. In the dominant society, if they want to do the right thing, they can do the right thing. So it's a work in progress for all of us.
He definitely has the patience.
I mean, yeah, that's leverage. Withholding votes, things like that. That's really interesting, and it's I fully support it. But another thing though is a few things. The COINTELPRO 100%, but the Panthers specifically, not all Black Power groups, but the Panthers specifically, they repped communism. They were Marxist-Leninists, and the reason they did, and they put that with Black Power from their writings, is that the issue is the dominant society is divided on class lines, and sometimes they come together, racially, but that is a trick that the ruling class uses to basically trick and deceive the lower rungs or the working class to basically turn their energy and turn their direction outward against Black people and against other races. So there's a class angle to it, I think, where when it comes to the dominant society, or the white America, basically, there's a class division there that I think is fundamental to this dynamic in terms of how to maneuver it.
Now, you brought up the Panthers. That's a very good point you brought up, that they believed in communism. And the thing that got them, it wasn't the guns and the weapons they had. A lot of people believe that COINTELPRO program, the FBI brought down the Panthers because the Panthers were armed. No, they all they did was change the gun laws. They immediately changed the gun laws in California. So that was a nothing burger. The problem with the Panthers is that the Panthers were feeding people when they had the free lunch program, which was a form of communism. We're just going to feed the community. That was the problem, because when you can feed people, that's the first step of nation building. So what the FBI did, all they did was hire Black people, gave them little stipends to go and infiltrate. They had a man named Dothard Perry, who was a very well-known FBI agent who became well-known later, who infiltrated the Panthers. You had William O'Neill, who they paid off to go help get Fred Hampton assassinated, who was a Black Panther leader, killed that poor man in his sleep. So white supremacy will still trump capitalism. Will trump communism. They just give somebody a couple of dollars to do the dirty work for them. So we're still circling back to white supremacy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, but the way I see it, and the communist view has always been, it's that it always circles back to that, because it's been the most effective thing to wage that class struggle. It's been the most effective thing to basically make sure that workers don't unite together against the ruling class, the people who own all the resources and wealth and banks and finances of the country, which, again, it's a small minority of people, and I'm not saying that, all the racial differences can be ignored, and the ways that the white working classes have bought into that dynamic against Black people can be ignored, and it definitely needs to be understood. But I think that broader picture, their ability to bribe people and undercut the communist strategy, like the breakfast program the Panthers used, when you target the fundamental sources of wealth in this country, ultimately what you're talking about is the power of labor, the power of people actually build the country, who keep it running, like at the fundamentals level, at the level of fundamentals. And I can't speak for the whole country, but in Detroit, for example, you go into any factory, it's white and black, a whole lot of black people, a whole lot of white people, but they're both blue collar workers. They're both working the same type of jobs. And
but white people owning the factories, though, that's the thing.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. And it's the race that's used so that the white person who owns the factory tells the white worker that, hey, we're the same, let's team up against the black guy. And that's the way the white worker is basically deceived and swindled into, in the long run, what does it lead to? It leads them to, dying on fentanyl and in poverty and debt, and it's not even good for them.
Great point. And you know what? That started in the 1600s because you had white indentured servants and you had black indentured servants. And the racial dynamic was not there yet, but you had the rich white European planter class. There was a big rebellion. There was something called Bacon's Rebellion, where you had white workers and black workers rising up against the white elitists. After they suppressed that rebellion, they said, hey, we got to do something. We got to stop this from happening. We can't have these folks joining forces against us. So they went to the white indentured servants and said, hey, we're all European. We're the same. So I can give you guys a couple of better privileges than those black guys over there. And that helped to squash any future rebellions. The poor whites got a couple of more
like I said,
little ducats of money and a couple of more privileges. Like, hey, we're going to give that guy, the black guy, we're going to make him indentured for life. And you're just going to be indentured for 7 years. And that was good enough for some of the white guys. And they went along with the program. Even now, the white elitists will tell the poor white guys, hey, look, those black guys, we're going to mass incarcerate them. We'll let you do your fentanyl and we won't arrest you. And that's good enough for some of the poor whites. So you have a lot of poor white people who maintain white supremacy more than anybody. And that's been an issue. And let's go back to the 1700s. You know what's interesting? Some of the people who were fighting against the white elitists, the European elitists, were the pirates, the people that we now know as the pirates, the golden age of piracy. And I've been doing a lot of research on this. The pirates have been portrayed as the bad guys, which many of them weren't. Many of them saw the finesse for what it was. They saw the land-owning elitists as evil and exploitive. So they were battling against them. Many of those pirate ships were actually slave ships. The pirates were stealing those slave ships. Queen Anne's Revenge, those were slave ships at first. And they knew how evil the land-owning elitists were. So they were waging war against them because they knew they were exploiting European labor as well. But historically, they've made the pirates the bad guys, and they lynched a lot of those European pirates as well. And also those pirates would liberate a lot of black people. Many of the people on those pirate ships themselves were black, about 30% of them. Many of the pirate leaders were black too. Lauren DeGraff, he was a black guy. They don't portray him as that now. But they had somewhat of a level of equality on those pirate ships to a certain degree because they understood that they had to fight the rich elitists. So there's always been this dynamic where the wealthy elite know how to play the racial divide and conquer game. And unfortunately, too many poor whites have gone along with that program today.
I'm trying to get a mic, Doc.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from because, the onus is not on black people to have to basically risk everything to make sure that, the white working class gets his shit together and stops selling out to the white capitalist class. That's a problem they got to sort out themselves.
I know where that money come from, and
that's
on board
what I believe. I'm not saying exclusively white workers, but it's generalities. And one of the things, when I talk about communism and stuff, I'm talking about political organization. That's it's mainly going to reflect the majority of the dominant society, and the onus is not on black people to have to make that happen and carry that out. Although it don't exclude anyone. But you know, I think if there was that kind of movement that was able to emerge that could put aside the white supremacy, do you think there would be a possibility for a unity with black people?
I think so. I think there would be, again, but a lot of working class and poor whites, they've been finessed by the white supremacists in the media and a lot of the white elitists who want to use them as buffer classes. So they're fleecing your pockets. They're overtaxing you. They're keeping you out of jobs too, because they get that cheap labor overseas. They're the ones keeping you out of the job market, but they'll point to black people like, hey, don't look at me. Look at that black person who wants to rape your daughter. Is that type of thing. And white people keep going for that finesse. So that's something that the dominant white society, they have to stop being finessed by the wealthy white elitist, making them think that the black boogeyman is going to get them, because that's not the problem. In fact, black people, we've saved white people several times over here during some of these wars and many other instances. So even going back into Europe, we can go real deep about the Moors saving people in Europe during the plague. So the problem that they have in the dominant society, the poor whites and working class whites, is the rich elitist white people exploiting you and telling you that we are the problem, which we've never been the problem.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. You know, I don't think there's any way for the white working class people in America to gain their dignity back, gain their manhood back, unless they put aside their hostility and their antagonization of black people. You know, that's the number one source of, one of the main sources at least, of, you know, them being in the predicament that they're in. They've allowed themselves to be conned and duped into thinking that their black neighbor, who actually, you know, is their fellow American in history and in practice, and, you know, fought alongside them in wars. Like you said, you had ancestors in Germany, and, you know, we mentioned the Civil War before. And I think you're right. The onus is not on black people to, you know, have them see the light in that regard. But, you know, I choose, you know, to be an optimistic person. You know, I personally am a communist. I want to see this movement be built. I want to see a political alternative in this country that I think can bring people together. And, you know, I don't know. I think that it's not that I want, you know, everybody to risk everything for the optimism. It's more like, you know, I believe that there's got to be a justice that comes out of everything, you know. Otherwise it's the law of the jungle, and it's every man for himself, more or less, you know.
My man. All right, let me get up out of your hands, man.
For sure. Great conversation, man.
Yes, indeed. Everybody, man, I got a book, man. My latest book, Foundational Black American Race Beta. You can get that on Amazon. Get that on Amazon now, Foundational Black American Race Beta. Very deep book. Talks about my life and my experiences and learning about racism and some of my thoughts and theories. So it's a very good read, so you guys can check that out. All right?
All right, Tariq, thank you so much. You know, very interesting information you shared. I learned a lot of things, and I hope everyone had a good time. I got to bounce as well. So, yeah, see y'all later. Good night.
Yeah, he was playing him. He's, in my opinion, hold on, let me get up there. Got a lot going on back here. I ain't gonna have all this trash. In my opinion, that right there was the Nuttin Burger we were being played. I'm really disappointed with Tariq for bullshit, man. That right there was the Nuttin Burger. I know he know better. that, get that pressure up. Works this way. All that right there is what it is. It's gonna rain bad. Who the fuck is that? Let me see. Store unlocked. It better be. He's watching my ass. What America? I don't know what the fuck they do. They got some weird shit going on. Alright, anyways. Yeah, man. Whew, had to take care of that. Basically, it's just a bunch of nonsense. We deep into this video right here. Figure it out. It's another fucking, whatchamacallit over here. It ain't gonna never, they all over the earth. Tracking me down, watching me. My every move. Bunch of weirdos. Oh, God. Alright. I didn't learn anything from that, and it saddens me again. You can come to a point where it's just like, okay, we repeating the same shit over and over. But, what do I call that when you do that? It's more than that, it's another word for it. It's not insanity that I'm looking for. It's just like, we in it for the what? The marathon. Not the race, the marathon. We're in it for the marathon. So, could I give y'all something at the tail end of this that's trap? I wanted to do something for the ladies, but it's not even necessary. I'm gonna start something over. Right about now, let me see, it's 12:20. Money drop. Where is the money drop? Maybe when I pull out, it'll come. I'm ready for this storm. I'm really ready to go and get me something to eat, too. Very disappointing, man. Alright, well, I know y'all probably was waiting on me to do some more raps, but not this too deep into the end. I don't want it to be this deep in the end. Hopefully y'all can take something away from that. It just goes back to the same old thing. Anytime you talk about white supremacy or anything that deals with that, the ones that are indoctrinated into it, meaning in their bloodline, their mindset and everything, they really get offended by that. They really think that that's their crew, that that's their flag, and they got a card with it, and they come with the hate, and they're supposed to be like that. Now, we only utilize that because that's what it is and what is available for us to speak about. But at the end of the day, to be honest with you, we don't even need to continue to talk about that. All we need to continue to talk about is like, give us our money and let's go about our business, man. Y'all do the same. All these other people walking around with smiles on their face ain't asking for no IOUs. We want our money and just bounce. The world will not stop because a black person gets $1.2 million a person and we got our own land to shop and places to go and things to do. We're going to be contributing right to this society, right to these same banks, the same stores, but maybe they'll be in our community or our own businesses and just like all the rest. What in the fuck is wrong with that? Nothing. Except y'all scared that we are going to, like, you know, like anybody who's not in allegiance with the United States outside of their circle of coalitions, you try to stop them, sanction them, break their country down, divide their people, and then initially send democracy over there and take over their land. Easy, but you got to make it look right, like they disobeying the United Nations laws, and you got to put up a bad guy so you can trample that bad guy, and then you trample their whole shit, and you steal their natural resources, and then you re-up by putting the embassy with the United States flag, and that is colonization. Colonizing. Now that country belongs to you, and you fucking stole it, and you will not let anybody think that you're a thief. That's how it goes. That's what they doing with Haiti right now. But they using the Kenyan people to do it.